Howdy, we're back. Working on the ae86 today because it is a shit tin. Yeah, shit tin, that's the accurate word. Alright, and today we are working on that down there. That's our starter motor. That bloody bastard of a thing, is not working too good. The way that I have to start my car is with that hammer there and someone holding the key, because for whatever reason the solenoid's just not working. I don't know whether it's a winding or something like that, but we're going to rip that one out and swap that over with this one here. This is a known working one out of my ae92, so I'm going to pop that one in there, or I'm going to pull this one out first and then make sure that they're the same, pop the new one in there and see how we go. And so thankfully Toyota's cool, unlike Nissan, and they run the bolts through the back of the bell housing and then give you plenty of room to work on it, unlike Nissan, who want to put the RB ones over the top, so you actually have to run an extension down the side, top and bottom, to get to it. These are nice and easy and they're just on the back here, so I can literally just put a socket on it and undo them. Alright, now that I've started to back those bolts out, the next thing I want to do is make sure I take this battery off, because this basically runs a cable directly from that fuse there, the pink one, all the way straight down onto the starter motor itself. So if I go touching anything, it's going to blow that fuse out, and they're $15 retail, so do not want to be doing that. Just like that, it's safe to pull out. Alright, well, I ran into this issue where that starter motor is physically far more chunky than the other one. It also has a heat shield on it that I can't put on the other starter motor, but that is physically larger than the other one, so I had to pull the exhaust manifold off, which is, yeah, look, it's not that hard on this car. So and that's basically, you can't quite see it there, but there's a bolt under there, or stud, and that's it. But the other starter motor is in. I'm just trying to work out which way I want to run that cable, because that is a little close to the exhaust manifold for my liking, so I might flip it around, see how I feel about it there. But otherwise that should be pretty well close to done. I just got to put the exhaust manifold back on, do up the cable bolt once I pick a spot for it, and then that should be ready to go, and then reconnect the battery, see how we go. Alright, so battery's reconnected, everything's back in there, it's all back on. It is, I guess, the moment of truth. Let me move this out of the way so it doesn't go flying off, and we'll go see if I make a mess out of everything, or whether I've fixed it right. 50-50, what do you reckon? That starter motor definitely sounds different. Yeah, look, I'm happy with that. Awesome. Now I can reliably start my car every day instead of hoping and waiting and trying to move it around on positions. So it will work, but it's done, as the White Snake Fab would say. And the other thing that I've been working on is this, my brother's LN106 Toyota Hilux. He brought it here because it needed an alternator. It's currently running a cardboard box. mostly because everything else is broken. Hang on, one sec. Alright, so what's under the cardboard box, you say? Well, this. It is a 3L. It is covered, absolutely just coated in oil. Several places it was leaking oil. It's also running a breather system that was running straight back into the intake. So your intake pipe goes across there. It was running straight back into the intake and then absolutely coating everything in oil. Now I found that this was leaking, so there was a massive buildup of oil here. This goes from the intake manifold to the intercooler. The intercooler has a fucking hole in it, so this had a hole, like this was leaking, this was leaking, the intercooler has a hole in it and it was leaking. So I don't know if I'm going to replace these hoses yet. I just tightened the clamps because they were only like mildly tight. I've tightened them and I'm going to test them again, but I'm not entirely sure what that little bit in the middle of that pipe is. I might just get a joiner and make that the right size joiner and just be one piece instead of this little thing. I think they've tried to put a boost adapter on it. But yeah, I'm going to do the rocker cover gasket, or valve cover gasket if you will. You can see down there the turbo return lines leaking oil as well. I've started cleaning up the turbo because there was oil sitting in that, and you can still sort of see it if you look in there. So that's not great. This hose seems to be the only one, I mean it's still coated in oil, but it seems to be the only one that's in half decent shape. This bracket is broken, but it's broken on the intercooler side. We're replacing that, so he's ordered a new intercooler, so we're getting that. The alternator is out. He doesn't want to replace the aircon compressor, which doesn't work, not at this time due to the costs. Here's that stainless pipe. So yeah, that's where the breather was going into. I think I'm just going to block that off and then run him a catch can setup, or run the catch can back into there and have the catch can oil section back down into the sump. So this will go back into the top of the catch can, and then your bottom of the catch can will go back down into the sump, and that'll just make it breathe correctly and not pump the intake full of oil. So the alternator's out. He did buy one. It is the wrong size or the wrong shape, so I have to return that and get him the right one. But yeah, as you can see, it is just a mess. Now you're probably thinking, gross, why would you bother? This thing, 1.2 million kilometers. So it's still kicking. It's a bit of a beast, this one. So yeah, give it a clean up, get it sorted, replace all these lines, because like these oil hoses, like the ones on the back of the vacuum pump for the alternator, they're all perished. They fell apart as I was taking them off, so got to take that sort of stuff off. And that is an actual like a compressor. He doesn't use it, so that's coming out as well. I'm going to replace a relay over there because like the top of it's just come off. It's not doing anything for him. But yeah, it's a bit of a fun one. So oh yeah, there was another wire that was chewed up over here because the bracket on the intercooler was broken and it was flapping, and yeah, just chewed it. So I think that's why the intercooler is chewed out as well. But yeah, so that's the work going on with this one. So this is probably going to be a couple of weeks worth of work, just because of everything that I need to do. The inside as well, he's been using that worksite radio as his car stereo as well. So I'm going to pull the dash apart, fix that. The glove box wasn't working properly. I went in and found that none of the hardware was there. So I've put all new screws and everything in it, greased it up, well, cleaned the latch, greased it up, and it works brilliant now. But yeah, as you can see, there's his alternator and the brackets and so on and so forth. So yeah, a bit of a big girl, this one. Like I'm 6 foot tall, and like I stand, this is my eye level. Like I'm looking eye level into the car here. I'm 6'2", so yeah, bit of a big one, and no side steps, so it's a bit fun to try and jump in. But yeah. Alright, so intercooler has shown up. It is slightly different sized, so this is the old one, the one with a hole in it. And if you look at that to there, just pop that on the top there. As you can see, it is slightly smaller overall. So one of the things I've done is undone the core on this, spun it around so it doesn't have that big 45 degree on the intercooler anymore. It's going to sit a bit more flat and sit a bit more high. However, this bracket here I'll have to space up so it will come up and meet the bottom of the bracket here. So this has to come up ever so slightly like that. Oop, when it wants to. And then yeah, I'm currently rebending the bracket for this side so it will sit, and it will sit in this hole here, and that should line up nicely. I've redone the core up on this side, and I've just been mocking up these pipes in place, and once that's raised up, that should sit on there quite nicely, so that will work just beautifully for me. But yeah, I still have to do the valve cover gasket. I still have to put the alternator in. The alternator here, I do have to go get the starter motor for it because the starter motor is also dead. So haven't really done too much in the last week. I've been at a new job, but I'm currently on it now. I just want to try and move the intercooler over because this one wasn't sitting underneath it either, so this one was also sitting over this side of it, so it wasn't really sitting under that bonnet scoop. And this one has got bigger end tanks, so if I can move it back over and try and sit it further under that, because that's basically where it sat before. So as you can see, it's not really, yeah, but I'm just trying to move it back over so at least most of the core is under the hole in the bonnet scoop. So yeah, progress, I guess. I got the next 2 days off, but yeah, like I said, I started a new job, so I've been busy at work. Otherwise, I've got to get in there and put the alternator in. Still got to go get the bolts for that. Bolt shop's open today, so going to go do that and pick up the starter motor, and it should be right. But yeah, fun and joys. And because I don't have a bench vise yet, this is how I am heating up this nice thick steel so I can bend it. Heat gun right in the corner of the bend, get some nice heat through it, and then big shifter and a hammer and just readjust the angle of it, I guess. Yeah. Alright, so the brackets are bent in the right shape. Now we just need to make these holes bigger because this is the mounting bolt and that doesn't fit through. So best thing we can do, take our drill bit set, match it up with the size of the bolt. That looks like I'll go there. If we put them together, you end up with what looks to be the right sort of size. So take that drill bit and we'll drill these holes out. Alright, so one of the things that I've always disliked about this door card, I've just put this one back on. Look, this one here, the driver's side one, is this trim piece is not connected, as you can see. Now these are just held on with tiny little metal tabs like this the whole way up. That one's not in the top there. There's not one in the second one. There is in the third one down. So I'm going to be pulling this all the way off, resetting the tabs, realigning it, popping it back in, and actually attaching it. The other thing that I'm doing is replacing all these trim clips because 20-year-old Toyota ones aren't exactly the best. So as you can see, broken off, not there yet, broken off. Yeah, so yeah, that's one of the other things that I'm doing is replacing all the trim clips because I want this thing to actually be nice to drive in. I'm also going to put sound deadening on the underside of this. So as you can tell, that is a flat panel that does make some vibrating noises. Put the sound deadening on it, it all goes away. The seats are almost done. I don't know if you can tell, I mean you sort of can, but you can sort of see that there's still a bit of dirt there and a bit of dirt on there. Otherwise these have come up rather nicely. That one's much better, as you can see. But yeah, just have to give these a bit of a clean up. You actually almost cannot see that stain anymore. That used to be a rust stain. That is basically gone now, so I'm really happy about that. But they've come up really nice, so yeah. This one here, door's back on. I put all the new trim clips on it. It actually sort of feels like a door. I don't know if there's enough sound deadening on there, but like, it's a pain in the ass to pull off, and I'm not pulling it off, so that is what it is. But as you can see, it's all coming together. Still no engine, still no box, but again, that'll be a next weekend thing, hopefully. Well, maybe not next weekend, but the weekend after. But yeah, so it's getting there. It's getting there. Trim piece is now off, and that is the tab for the top one. So you can see it's all bent in and messed up. That's the tab for the second one, same sort of dealio. The rest are all good. So I'm just going to pull those out, and yeah, and we can put it back in. And I'm just going to straighten this one up a bit too, because it's a bit bent there. So I'm just going to put a pair of pliers on it and see if I can bend it straight. Let's see if I can do this one-handed so you can sort of see. Oop. Like that. And we bend that straight. And just like that. Our tab is working again. You can see. There. And then that'll go through that little hole just there on the back. And then once it's in, we tip it over and it should stay in place. And we do the same with that one. Alright, and now, as you can see, all the tabs are on, which means this doesn't separate away up the top here anymore, which is good. And I know it seems like such a silly thing to be showing, because I mean, it's such a menial thing in the grand scheme of things, but it's the details that matter when you're putting a car together. Like, it's the stuff that takes all the extra time. Like, I know you can slap a car together and have it driving and running and going. Trust me, I know. But it's the stuff like this that makes a car enjoyable to drive, I think. The details, the small things. I mean, you're in it all the time, so, you know, this is what I enjoy fixing up.